Spending a few minutes now with the head coach of the Philadelphia Soul, Doug Plank, as the Soul get ready to build the roster here with free agency beginning. And Coach, thanks for the time. And I think people hear free agency, and in any sport, it's always an exciting time. Who is my team going to get and such that? But in the way the Arena League is structured now, free agency is really important because you're basically every year rebuilding from scratch, right?
There's no doubt. And as we talked earlier, it's not only just for players, it's also for coaches. So, what happened this year with Philadelphia as far as a new coach coming in, new staff, you could almost expect to see, I'm not saying an entirely new roster because, but for all intents and purposes, the coaches as well as the players have the freedom to go ahead and pick and choose which team which they feel would be the most successful.
So let's talk some nuts and bolts here as you're putting a roster together. I think in football, no matter what level, no matter what way it's played, it all starts with the quarterback. And is that right at the top of the list is who's going to take the snaps this year?
Matt, that's exactly the way it's laid out. The quarterback position, whether it's college, the NFL, CFL, AFL, it doesn't really matter. He's the guy that's going to really guide your ship in terms of being a leader, but also he's going to touch the ball more than any other player. So everything starts with the quarterback. That's the number one position that we are trying to solidify right now. You look at the problems that the Soul had last year. Inevitably it does get back to the quarterback because he's the guy that really is going to steer the ship, and he's going to be the most important piece to this puzzle.
So, obviously, I know you can't talk specific names, but what are you looking for? What are the characteristics that you want the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Soul to have?
I think experience is a big part of it, especially, when you've gone from a record, 6-12 last year for the Soul. I think it's important to come out and win and try to find an experienced quarterback that has had success in the past. So that's the type of person that we're looking for, somebody that's been through this before, that we're not trying to teach the game to. And not that you can't have success in certain situations, but I think, we're going with the averages and the percentages, and we want a guy that has already done this in the past and can be a good leader for our team.
I think when you talk about the NFL, you hear so many coaches talk about building kind of inside out as far as developing the lines on both sides of the football. With the Arena League, with the game being different, more up-tempo, obviously more of a focus on the passing game, is that still the case? Are offensive linemen, defensive linemen still at the top of the depth chart? Or after you get past quarterback, does it filter now more towards let's get guys that can catch the football, guys that can make problems on the outside?
Well, let me just say this, Matt. Big guys, big players in football can cover both guys. Little guys cannot cover for big guys. And what do I mean by that? Offensively or defensively? Your quarterback is going to get killed if you have no offensive line. Your defensive backs are going to get burnt if you have no pass rush. So that's once we get the quarterback position settled, my focus mainly is going to be on the line of scrimmage, both offense and defense, because that's really where it matters. But let me also say a quarterback that has the ability to get rid of the ball quickly, he can solve a lot of those problems and issues on the line of scrimmage because by getting rid of the ball quickly, he has the control of going ahead and not exposing that offensive line to being able to sustain blocks over a long period of time.
So talk to me a little bit about what the next week or so are like. How much of this is done, through the phone, through people that you're familiar with, that you're comfortable with, that you want to bring in? How much of it is done through tryouts? How much of it is done traveling around, seeing guys? Kind of give some people some insight into to how this roster will come together.
Well, the number one thing is that we are going to have to try to depend on relationships that we've had in the. And I think one of the huge advantages that the Philadelphia Soul has is that they are widely respected around the league as an organization that is run on a very professional basis. And I'm sure a lot of it starts with the ownership group, and of course the most visible owner is Ron Jaworski, and he's the number one reason why I came to the Philadelphia Soul to be that head coach. I truly believe that the players are going to feel the same way, and that's going to be a major factor in them choosing the Philadelphia Soul as far as where they want to go play, because it's going to be run like a professional organization. They're going to be treated like professionals. And as you correctly stated, the carryover from one year to another, especially now because everything is set up on a one-year basis, that's important. Players want to know where they're going to be staying, how things are going to be run in terms of the football program is concerned. And secondly, are we going to win? And I hopefully can bring that element to this football team, a positive attitude and a belief that we are going to get it done on game days.
Obviously, a roster is a very fluid thing, and there's never a set roster. It changes constantly. But when are you hoping to have the core in place? The 15, 20 guys that you really want to get in place. What's the timeline for that?
Unlike some of the other leagues where you have, a whole off season, I believe that for the most part, probably in the next 30 days, I think you're going to see a lot of signings take place in the Arena Football League, and so we would really like to make sure that we've got the basis of our football team put together in the next 30 days. Maybe not completely, because there's always those opportunities that surprises and guys that you never really thought came out of left field. But the bottom line is, we really need to have our major pieces in place within the next 30 days, and there's no reason not to believe that we can't get that done.